Right guys, welcome down to Finch Friday, your weekly golf Q&A. And as always, I'm going to go through all your questions, of which again, there have been so many. Thank you so much. Pick out the 5 ones I'm going to answer and then just plow on through. Now this week sees the return of Tiger Woods. So obviously a lot of people have asked specific questions about that. So I will cover most of those and try and group them together as much as I can. But I won't just talk about Tiger, even though he's back. In case you didn't know, he's back. So the first question up is, what do I think about Tiger's swing changes? A question on what mine and what everyone's expectations should be about Tiger's return, how he's going to play. The last one on Tiger is going to be about how his return impacts the golf industry as a whole, in my opinion. Question about why most Nike athletes are starting to switch their clubs to TaylorMade-ish. There's also a lot of questions about handling nerves in a competitive situation and what you should be thinking about doing this winter to prepare yourself for 2017. So first things first, what do I think about Tiger's new swing? It's very early days. Obviously this is his first tournament back, and the amount of videos which are out at the time of recording this video for me to have a look at aren't as available as maybe I would like them to be, but of the swings that I've seen so far, it still looks like a fantastic swing. Visually, it almost looks like his body rotation seems to be increased on the way through, but it seems to be a lot calmer. So his lower half and his upper half seem to be turning more, possibly a little bit more in sync, although there is still a very much prominent lead with the hips off to the left, then those opening first, then the upper body starting to follow. A lot has been made about how in the swings that have been seen so far, the left foot seems to come up off the ground and move out of the way, which isn't perhaps a possible protection of the knee, but I'm not entirely sure about that. That may have just been the circumstance of that one video. And all the indications coming out from people who've seen him actually hit the ball is that he's striking it pretty well. But we won't know until he's actually got some competitions under his belt. The fact is, with Tiger, when he made his return last time, his short game was simply nowhere near where it used to be. He wasn't only hitting bad chips, he was duffing a lot of them as well. As soon as his short game was put under competitive pressure, that's where his main frailty seemed to lie. The fact is, with this swing, with his new swing, whatever you want to call it, he will still be able to hit most par 4s in 2. He's still going to be able to hit par 5s in regulation. And if he still has an ounce of the power that he used to have, he's going to have eagle chances. The fact is that when it comes to Tiger, what separated him from the rest of the players in the world when he transformed the game, so after he took the game by storm, was his short game and his ability to get the ball in the hole. What a lot of people don't remember is that when Tiger came on the scene, there was no one else really like him. You think about back to Player, who really revolutionized the idea of fitness in his generation, but Tiger came along and he was already a much bigger, quite literally, physical specimen. He had a much bigger frame to build around. He worked on his body to the extent that his technique tuned itself up and improved, and he simply overpowered courses and overpowered fields. However, players did start to catch up with him. When someone sprints out into the distance so quickly, people soon realise that they have to do something to catch up. So players start improving their fitness, improving their health, and the tour is absolutely full of players who hit the ball a long way now. But what will separate Tiger, and this is the only thing that time will tell, is his short game still the absolutely sensational product that it was a few years ago? Because there is absolutely no doubt that even when he went through his years of playing poorly, he was still able to compete because of his chipping and putting. So what his new swing looked like isn't the most important thing for me. The most important thing for me is what he's like around the greens when he makes his return. So on to the broader question of how Tiger will do as he comes back. The first question is, how long is he going to be back for? Because unfortunately, in previous years, he's proved, over the last 5 years really, that he has spells of making the comeback, getting re-injured, and then not being able to play for extended periods of time. Now for me, I'm a big Tiger fan. I have been because he came on the scene when I was a junior, and he was the he was the ultimate player. He was the one that everyone aspired to. And when you saw him play, you just couldn't help but be pumped up and inspired by what he was doing. So I really hope he does well. So that's the first question, is how long is he going to be back for? Can he stay fit? Can he stay healthy? And if he can, how will he do? You can't write off great champions like Tiger. The fact is that he is arguably the greatest player that has ever played the game. You have comparisons and you have arguments against Jack Nicklaus, and on record, Jack Nicklaus is the better player with the amount of majors that he's won. But is Tiger the better overall player? And if he'd managed to stay injury free, would he have already beat Jack Nicklaus's record? Possibly, but it's almost a misleading statement, because the fact is you can't just take out the injury and wonder what would have been. He's got those injuries because of the stress and the strains that he's put his body through. Nicklaus managed to find a way to play relatively injury-free throughout his career, and you can't ignore those two things. If he can stay fit, he will win more tournaments. He is a natural winner. There's no doubt about it. When he was at his prime, he found ways to win when he was playing very poorly. It has to be said, he could hit the ball everywhere, because he could hit the ball longer than any player out there on tour. He used to hit it so far. But when he wasn't playing well, he'd hit it further offline than any player on tour as well. But he managed to get it in the hole. You know, it was the old Walter Hagen analogy, you know, another great American champion. It was said that he hit more bad shots during a round than most pros did in an entire season. But it only takes one miracle shot per hole to make sure that you can make a score on that hole. And that is what Tiger used to be able to do. If he can still do that, if he still has that ability, then he can definitely win again. And he can win again when he's not playing his supreme best. Having said that, I think his best days are behind him. There's no way that he can rise to the top like he did before, because he was so dominant. I do believe that the rest of the game, inspired by what he did in his earlier career, have raised their game. Not to match, because you know no one is able to get near his record yet, and certainly no one's able to get near Jack Nicklaus's record yet. But everyone has raised their game to the level where every tournament on the PGA Tour and the majors, there's loads of different players who can win now. You know, obviously, you know, when you go to a golf tournament, there's a possibility that any player in the field can win. But when Tiger was playing his prime, he had to play badly for other players to win. Now the whole level has raised. I just want to see him back, I want to see him healthy, and I want to see him playing well, because that leads into the next question. And that next question is, how will Tiger's return affect the golf industry as a whole? There is no doubt, absolutely no doubt, not only in my opinion, but probably backed up by stats as far as viewership goes, as far as coverage goes when Tiger is back, that the world of golf still needs him. There's no doubt there. The fact is, you have exciting players now. You've got Rory, you've got Jason Day, you know, you've got these top players who when they're performing well, they can beat anyone and they're exciting to watch. But the fact is, no one at this moment in time is exciting as Tiger. People still have it fresh in their mind, that shot on the 16th at Augusta. These miracle putts, these fantastic up and downs, these drives which simply went further and got there faster than any other player in the world. People still remember that. And despite the fact that the tour as a whole has risen its game and there are so many better players out there, everyone still remembers Tiger as this unbelievable champion. And the excitement that he generates, not only on TV, but in crowds when they go watch him live, is still unlike anyone else is able to generate. And I think there's one other reason why the world of golf needs Tiger back, and that is the fact that at this moment in time, there are still very, very few black players on the PGA Tour and the European Tour, and any other golf tour in the world for that matter. That golf is still seen in so many circles as a stereotypical white person sport who is rich, who is middle class, who has already done well for themselves in life, and it's inaccessible to most people. What Tiger did when he burst onto the scene, he started to rip up that rule book. And although golf has moved on, there's absolutely no doubt about it, the amount of prejudice within the game has decreased, it still needs people like Tiger to push against the boundaries which do still exist, because they do still exist. There is still an attitude within this country, and I'm sure everyone watching this around the world in other countries as well, of golf being an elitist sport. People do not feel welcome at some golf courses when they go there, and that is because it's still seen as an elitist sport. And Tiger managed to break some of those stereotypes. And for that reason, I still think that golf needs him. And I think that that can only be a welcome thing. So loads and loads of questions there from Tiger. There was loads more than that. There was dozens and dozens and dozens of what I did. I rounded it up into the 3 main talking points there. Now the individual questions, which have been asked as well, I've not actually got around to covering yet. This one is from, well, the easiest name to pronounce, SXB.CRXBTRXX. Why are most Nike athletes switching to TaylorMade? McIlroy, Tiger, Thorbjorn Olesen. I think success breeds success in some respects. So if you have a look at someone like Dustin Johnson, who literally just pounding that M2 driver away all year and has been hitting it so well. Some weeks he's so long and so accurate that he just can't get near him. Some of the other players, he was that good. And it's obvious what driver he's using as well. You know, it's a very distinctive design, the TaylorMade M1 and the M2. So if people see him hitting that shot and going, oh, you know, that's good, well, I might give it a bit of a go. And then all of a sudden all the Nike players are released out into the wild, as it were, as far as clubs are concerned, then that's one of the first go-to products because it's in the hands of so many other players. So I think that's the first part of it. I think the second part of it is performance. The fact is the M1 and the M2, they're great drivers. So when players pick them up and when they start using them, the instant feedback that they get is, oh, this is a good driver. Oh, the other players are also using it. I must be onto something here. The fact is that if you gave them a Callaway driver, you know, whichever one's out at the moment, Titleist driver, you know, even the Nike drivers that they were probably using previously, if you think about Rory, if they're specced up and fitted properly, these boys will hit it well. There's absolutely no doubt about it. But the M1 and the M2 does seem to be a favourite amongst tour players at this moment in time. Half of that is the strategy that TaylorMade employed, simply by paying pros and getting it in their bag, and half by the fact that it's just a very good product, which is appealing to them as well. So I think with the Nike players, you know, not all of them have gone to TaylorMade. That's an incorrect thing to say. You know, some of them have gone into other brands as well. It's not just a clean sweep for TaylorMade. But, you know, this type of publicity for them, it's just absolutely golden. Similar for Tiger Woods using the Bridgestone ball. All of a sudden, Bridgestone's ball is brought into public domain, and the Bridgestone ball isn't really available in the UK. So for us, it's like, oh, Bridgestone ball, you know, that's exciting. It's just what these players are using. It's interesting to us, but for them, you know, it's just what performs. And if it's performing for them, then they're going to stick it in the bag. Lots of questions, which is quite strange at this time of year because there's not that many people who are playing competition golf, about nerves. This question in particular from George.Halley2001. Hi Pete, I have a great round when I'm not in competition, but when I'm in competition I play really bad. Could you please say some ways to help to play better in a competition? Cheers. Hashtag question open too. This is a very, very hard one because everyone is different. You know, this is more psychological than it is physical, technical. You know, competition golf is different because it turns on different parts of the brain. There's more pressure involved. And some people are better with dealing with that pressure than others. What I would say is a common theme that does occur is the better players don't try and push pressure away. They welcome pressure because pressure, they know, is a catalyst for them to perform at their best. I think what a lot of players do, and certainly I've been guilty of this in the past and I'm still guilty of this now, it's not an easy thing to simply switch on and off, is to, when pressure is applied to you, when you're feeling nervous, not to try and fight it and pretend it doesn't exist, but actually just let it be accepted and just understand that pressure is there. You can't fight it, you've just got to contend with it. You've just got to say, okay, I am feeling nervous. And as soon as you accept that, you'll be amazed at how much more relaxed that you feel. And there's videos which I will be doing on this going forward, because the psychological aspect of golf is something that I need to improve on, and I know a lot of you guys want more videos on as well. So that will be part of the plan of the videos going into next year. Right guys, thank you so much for watching this Finch Friday. It's been, yeah, interesting actually. I'm excited about Tiger's return, I can't deny it. And tomorrow, Saturday, obviously, is going to be Tech Tuesday. Maybe not quite so obviously. I didn't get time to do it earlier in the week, so I'm going to release that tomorrow. And that might be quite Tiger-centric as well, so based around what he's putting in the bag, as well as some other little things as well, so stay tuned for that. Alright guys, thanks for watching. Please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Follow me on my other social media platforms as well, and we will see you back here tomorrow.